42. Yeah, 42. That's how old I am this year. Ahoy hoy. My name is Gary. I was born and raised here in White Center, Earth. I want to talk to you about the most complete, incomplete guide to life, as you say. You know what? I'm just going to get straight to the point. What is the meaning of life? Anyways, simple story is the meaning of life is your story. Beginning, middle, end. Currently, just in this world, on this planet. What you do is that meaning. But what is happening that you don't see? What happened before here? What happens after here? Well, there was a before, and there is an after. For sure. Beginning, middle, and follow your dreams. It's just your story. It's your main character, your movie, your TV show. Wow. Nicole Kidman couldn't have said it better herself. You go to the movies and you watch a story. You watch a beginning, you watch a middle, and the end, and that's what life is about. That is the meaning of life. But life is a movie. Who's watching? Someone is always watching. Someone is always watching. Someone is always watching. Okay. To humanity. And so just imagine for a second everything's just static, like the static you see on a television. It's just a bunch of random dots just swirling everywhere. We're just gonna pick one at random, and that will be this reality that you are in right now. Everything was just static. Just imagine all static, and then each tiny little speck, each flickering speck of static is a whole universe in itself. And then we're just gonna select that one, and that'll be this one. And when that begins, it doesn't begin with a physical reality. It begins with concepts, and the first concept is chaos. It's just everything, everywhere, all at once. And then there's destruction, where it's just nothing, just not. At some point, between the flickering of this static, between chaos and destruction, something just stops. This thing is called order. All it did was it decided to just slow down. Instead of flickering, it just slows down to the point where it's just there. Long story short, because I can't comprehend in words this next process, but reality in itself came into existence and ended multiple times, 3 times to be exact, and then became the physical realm and souls. Everybody, every conscious being into this fourth reality. And that is where we are. The physical realm and the fourth reality. And this is where everything kind of begins. So, long story short, we are a crystalline universe. At its very center point, it is a very crystalline, polygonal universe in itself. And you can apply math, you can apply the prime numbers here, and then you can apply shapes, and then the reality slowly begins to form itself. Things move between 2 points and then 3 points and so on and so on. Now, I will get to that at some future point and later, but right now I have to speed things up. So, at some point, things evolve and there's life all throughout the universe, advanced life. I mean, we've already advanced to the point of conscious thinking and civilizations and things like that. And it's formed biomechanically, like think Transformers. It's not organic life. Everything's is heavy elements, machines, life without liquid, as you can say. Actually, this is how it works. Everything is pretty much AI. Everything's digital at that point, and that's when they decided to create organics. And this is where reptilians were first created, because the simplest form of organics is kind of the shape of a snake, and it's like the shape of a spine if you really think about it, like a sperm. And that is the original form, the basis of the DNA that was created to form this organic life. And from that, the reptilians stemmed to feathered species, and then from there to mammal type species. But even before the reptilians, you have the sea life species and things like that. So that's a totally different thing. They came way before the reptilians, so don't mess with ocean life. Anyways, the DNA designation is the carbon-based life forms are designation 666, which is the isotopes in a carbon atoms. So that's all that means. Everything is symbols and numbers. When you put it all together, it's all just a fun game. Yeah, where the fuck am I going with this? Let's just squeeze in a bunch of information here. So you know that the species were created. Anyways, the reptilians became a more advanced, technologically advanced culture. It became a very they became very militaristic, as you say. And then the other species, feathered folks were more neutral, and then you have the mammal folks, which were more peaceful, and they were getting their asses handed to them. And this is all within the galaxy, anyways. Other big war. Humans were created through DNA technology. Solar system was created. It was a blend of DNA between everything, reptilians and mammals. so you can create a hybrid species like humanity. Why? Balance. You can make people with unlimited potential. That's what you get. People with dreams, people with everlasting hope. And that spread across the entire galaxy. Anyways, there are a lot of other YouTube videos and things like that. People already telling the story, so I don't really need to repeat it. You can look at all those other videos. Here, at some point, anyways, that was, the universe is old. Everybody's so far advanced already. Humanity is just in a corner of the galaxy where we're supposed to be left alone because that is the Prime Directive. Yes, that exists. So, in the beginning of the solar system, which was commissioned to be built by the winged folk, so that tells you the solar system was actually mathematically planned. Like everything placed, all the planets, all the elements, the size, even the rotation, everything, even disasters, asteroids, comets, positions, moons, everything was already pre-planned for and built and placed. Just so you know. I will tell you why in a second. Because you could just order that, like Amazon. And there are advanced species that have gone to the point where you would consider them gods, I guess, because they have powers that can manipulate matter itself. And so they commissioned 3 planets to rent. Or who are these they are human type species, but much older, so way more advanced. And they are 2 brothers who commissioned these planets to be built as a playfield, as in like a strategy game with an entire planet with real living beings, created through DNA splicing. Remember, we're already that advanced. And long story short, there were a lot of war games, and Venus itself was destroyed just from war games alone. Time is not a factor here. Civilizations be built, they go to war, they destroy each other, and these 2 brothers are just manipulating all this and just having fun like a video game, except it's a worldwide thing. And then when Venus was practically destroyed through nuclear war, they moved on to Mars. And then at a certain time when, they built everything up and everybody was getting happy and they started building to the skies, 2 brothers kind of just zap that whole mountain, just blow it up. And then they moved everybody to Earth, I guess you could say. Well, not everybody, but they moved into Earth. Here's the thing, Earth is the Garden of Eden. Within all these religious texts and everything, just know that that's what Earth is. And so they started the game over. Third time's a charm, I guess. So you're building multiple civilizations all across the world in preparation to just fight each other for fun. That is all it is. Humanity was designed through DNA splicing. They took the most dexterous animals that could wield tools, and then they spliced their DNA so they could be more controlled in a manner of battle. And at some point, there was just a single species of humanity. It was just basically all men. Yes, men could have babies, but there was really no thinking. Very very primitive fighting. It's just there was no strategy or anything like that. And so these two brothers were getting bored. So they wanted to upgrade these humans so that they could fight better tactics and better weaponry and things like that. And so they brought someone in, and she decided to bring in another system, a system that brings souls in, souls like everybody here, souls that connects to the rest of the whole universe. Every single being is a soul that gets to live out somewhere in the universe. And within this system, they built I guess they built a side door, started bringing in their own souls into their own world so that they could make better soldiers, I guess, so they could fight better. Long story short, the thing about that was they were getting too smart and they didn't want to fight anymore because they were having kids. I guess in religious texts, these were considered giants. One of the brothers was connecting with humanity and realizing, hey, all this strategy and fighting and killing, I don't think it's for me anymore. And then that's when they started creating different kind of humans. I guess you consider those giants, but really they're just neurodivergence, just giant-minded, which just means more open-minded, unlocked, as you say, unlocked to the system that was created through a side door that kind of locks your soul here, so you're not really free because you don't actually remember any of the rules that you're supposed to begin life with, or the guidelines, I guess, which is what's happening right now. Yeah. So, anyways, the other brother didn't like it. He wanted to keep fighting, and so these two brothers fought, and so I guess that one lost. The one, the one that wanted to see what humanity really, really was, what their true potential was. And so the other brother took all the water off of Mars and flooded Earth. Like, get rid of everybody. And I don't actually know what happens after that, so I'm going to skip forward to here. I'm sure a lot of other people on the internet can tell you exactly what happened after whatever that flood was and however long ago it was. But just know that before and since there have been many, 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 many civilizations that have come and gone. Many. To a point where it's unthinkable. And I want you guys to know that everything's just buried. There are multiple layers just buried, 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 multiple civilizations all over the world, just buried, buried, buried. And that's actually what the real treasure is about. Same with oceans. Man, there are seas everywhere under there. Everything was a lot, and the water was way down there. Everybody lived by the coast, and all those cities were by the coast. Now they're just, whoop. Yeah. And that's where a lot of the water came from. A different planet. How do they carry it? From the moon. Yeah, the moon is a ship. Just so you know, the moon is a ship. It's also a kind of a Wi-Fi signal receiver router at the same time. I'll get to that later. So that's where that's how Earth was kind of born, and humanity. You know, at some point, yeah, the proof is there's been someone here before because we have pyramids, and I need you to I need you to know that that's what the pyramids were for. While they're fighting, uh, led to them using nuclear weaponry and nuclear arsenal for energy weaponry and energy projection, things like that. And where did they produce or store it? Pyramids. That's why a lot of them are radioactive, but they were producing other kind of elements. The big one was producing energy. It was also nuclear storage and nuclear production, energy production as well. It was adorned in gold. The whole thing was just layered in gold. That's just kind of keep the radiation in. Top had a crystal kind of a pyramid cap on it. All those craters you see all over the planet, shit like that, on the moon, on Mars, those are direct energy weapons. Those are explosions. Just so you know, just a heads up. Yeah. Understand that the pyramid, the reason why the Sphinx is in front of it is that's actually a cat. Because as you know, if you have a cat, you'd understand that cats kind of their job is a protector of the home. And that's kind of what they're doing. They're protecting something you shouldn't be close to. Now, in 100,000 years, the only thing left of our humanity would be what? Is where we're storing our nuclear material. That'd probably be the only thing left. That's what we're securing. And that's exactly what's left here, the pyramids. That's what that is. And that's why people a long time ago get sick and cursed and things like that, because there's radiation poisoning, things like that. Or chemical toxicity. Yep. I mean, that's why one of the pyramids blew from the inside out. Now, how does that work? How did they build it? Exactly. Oh, this is going to be the hard part for me to explain. Because... Oh... Okay. Shit, am I supposed to get to this now? Anyways, we're all here. Shit. It is where I am. I'm right here. Just think of it. That's where Gary is. I'm just kind of in between. Aliens and whatever have you not, things that have been here a lot longer than you and I have. And then above them is just people outside the galaxy. So this is just within the galaxy, just so you know. Okay. Oh, shit. Ow. That's the hard part. Explain gravity. Okay. But how do they build pyramids? It wasn't humans. I could tell you that. But basically, they know how gravity works. Just take a bunch of rocks and sand and just squeezed it really hard, and that's how you get all these bricks. And they did it really close to the pyramid, pretty much up next to it. And then the things that built it were just way bigger people, just a lot bigger. And just just don't assume humanity is the only intelligent species out there. It's actually humanity is quite bottom tier. this is this is both easy and hard to explain at the same time. Gravity is a force. Gravity is basically electromagnetism. Everything has a magnetic force, an attraction, positive, negative. Life is chemistry. It's very important chemistry. And so at the small, everything is attracted to something at some other, nothing outside of antimatter. So even if it doesn't seem like it does. Time for me to explain gravity. Shit, I need both eyes for this. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Gravity is a force. Electromagnetism. I'm just gonna have to give you some examples. I'm not good at. I'm not even good at talking. Jesus. All right. First example. Gravity's effects on in the air, airplane wings. So I'm gonna draw. Okay, I'm gonna draw a wing. Or rather, oh man, here's a teardrop. And then you have the air coming in this way. Oh shit. Fuck. They call this high pressure, and this is the low pressure zone. Oh shit. Because you have a slower moving air down here, and then you have much faster air up here, and so that provides the lift because it's saying the air is pushing up against the wind, and that is an explanation of how a wing works. And let me just explain to you a different way of how gravity works on a wing. But we're going to dive into chemistry a bit. Let's say all the air molecules just made of positive and negative, and there's just a whole bunch of them everywhere. You got just molecules. They're just positive and negative molecules everywhere. Oh shit. So I'm going to redraw a wing. And rather, I want you to think each molecule hitting the wing, each air molecule hitting the very surface of the wing. I want you to think in terms of the surface right here. Oh, shit. That's doing thing. Anyways, just think of the surface area. Each molecule hitting the surface of the wing. Each molecule is hitting this surface a lot more, and it's because it's going slower. Because it's slower, there's a lot more molecules hitting this bottom than the fast-moving ones on top. And so you would think with the extra air molecules, that's what lifts the wing up. But it is not the external air that lifts the wing up. It is the actual surface area of the wing that pushes it up. And that's where everybody's going to call me cuckoo crazy. The gravity is acting on the very surface area of the wing. When you have enough positive, negative molecules hitting that to a point where it's oh man. When enough molecules hit the surface, rather than pushing the wing up, the surface area of the wing becomes sort of like a sort of generates the gravity force. I don't know how to explain it. But the surface area is what pushes against the gravity of the Earth now. It is not the air pushing up against the wing. It is the surface area now creating the gravity to push against the gravity of the Earth. Because when each molecule hits the wing, it's spinning around. It's positive and negative. It's just there's so much of it that is no longer being affected by the gravity of the Earth because it's just spinning around so much. That's why lighter molecules float away from Earth and heavier ones in one direction are heavier and go down. Anyways, moving on to the next example. Keeping with this, I want to explain turbulence. When they say when turbulence hits, there's air density, it pushes the wing up and down. But how do you explain the rapid, sudden jerk straight up and down in the airplane in a more simpler way? It is because when you hit a cloud is just going to have much more molecules densely packed into it. As soon as the wing hits that cloud, that air density adds on to the bottom of this wing. There's even more, and it's going to jerk it straight up because it's pushing against the gravity of the Earth. Rather than the density of the air slowly pushing it up, the gravity instantly changes, and so the wing finally goes up and down. So every time you hit a pocket of liquid or lighter air, it's going to keep jumping up and down. And because it jumps up, all the molecules hit the top of the swing much faster than the ones on the bottom. So it jerks it back down. Okay. I'm going to move on to the next example. Bloop, 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 bloop. Okay. Let's see what I have here. Cavitation. All right. If you're in the marine world, I'm gonna try to draw a rudimentary fin here, or a fan blade. And then at this surface here, you have cavitation, because this is where those big bubbles form. And then it damages the trailing edge of the fin. Now, they say these little bubbles Yeah, you already know how the bubbles work, but do you know exactly how it works? Anyways, the way gravity works is because this trailing edge hits the most amount of water as it spins. This is the fastest part that hits the water. The leading edge forms the gravity force itself, and so that gravity force squeezes all the little water molecules against that metal fin harder and harder. When that does, it actually causes a small fusion explosion. That's a little bubble collapse, and then that damages it one little molecule at a time, or multiple. But anyways, that's actually how the cavitation works. Because when you have a whole bunch of molecules hitting that leading edge, it becomes that gravity force, and then it squeezes that edge so hard that even the water that gets pulled toward that edge. Oh, that's what the gravity force is. It pulls things towards it. Damn, did I explain that? Shit. Uh, maybe use another example again. Oh man. Okay. Turbulence. Oh, the Magnus effect. Let's do that. Let's do the Magnus effect. Let's do a ball when it rotates that way. If you throw it in that direction, it curves up. Yeah, let me erase that. Like a basketball, it curves in the direction it goes. And they're saying it's because when you hit that high pressure area here, the wind pushes it up and the vacuum pushes it down back there. But if I explain more simply, the gravity force itself hits this area, and the ball itself pushes away from the Earth, and that's how it rotates up. Because all the molecules are now hitting this surface here, and it's all the plus and minuses of these molecules are hitting at a very fast rate. And so this surface of the ball hitting the wind is now creating a gravity force and pushing the ball against the ground so then it flies up. That's how the Magnus effect works. It's the same with going downwards. Oh, I hope I'm making sense. Okay, next example. We're going to do a golf ball. You know, you have these dimples. Oh, shit. Now, let me get an example here. Get rid of a golf ball. Oh, shit. Where am I? Oh, shoot. Oh, oh. Golf ball. Let me see. So, I'm going to draw an example of these little dimples on the board there. Just kind of a side view. If you blow it up, curve, and then it's going to dimple, and it's going to curve, and it's going to dimple, and it's going to curve. And then There's a dimple here and then a dimple here. And anyways, oops. When the air hits the ball, when the air molecules rushes over, the air is going to rotate within this, and there's going to be extra molecules within this pocket as they glide over. But here's the thing about these extra molecules in this pocket. It's going to create the gravity force here on the surface area. And what that does is it pushes the gravity force out. And when that happens, it creates a pocket, an invisible pocket of air kind of pushed out, and it glides over the ball. And that's how it goes further, because it's actually creating an invisible force pushing the turbulent air out. So instead of turbulent air hitting a smooth surface, that turbulent air is now above here, going just barely away from the ball. Hopefully that explains it. My other example is, okay, this one's going to be a little harder. Let's move away from the board and go back here. Okay. How did the short squeeze into there? Oh. Anyway. All right. Let me see if this can get a good example. I'll do it right here. Maybe do it right here. So, as I pour this water out, you see the streaming pattern it creates. There's a reason for that. Oop. Another example is when you pour, and then it actually reaches the cup a little, you kind of see it ripple. Why is it rippling? Right there. Actually. Hopefully I got that. All right, I can explain that with, shoot, how do I draw this out? No, let me go back to the board. Okay. We don't need that one. Okay. This is the cup. Let me just kind of rudimentally draw this out. When the water is pouring out here, the water here is much thicker than the water coming out in the middle. So it kind of does a pattern here as the water comes down. It's because the gravity that's acting here, the water that, well, here's the lip of the cup. Here's the water line, if you can imagine it coming straight down. The water from the middle here actually comes out faster than the water coming out from the sides. And when that happens, this center area now acts as a gravity force, and it's pulling here in the center of that lip. It's pulling the water down into it more than the sides. So when it pulls that water down, the sides can pull up higher. That's actually what's happening. Hopefully that makes sense. Huh. The other example was when it poured the water. Whoops. When it poured the water out, as soon as it touched another rim, it made rippling. The reason is because as soon as the water hits the other rim, the surface area of contact at the other surface of the other object now has a gravity force, and it pulls the water down. The water is not just coming down through gravity, but this little surface has its own gravity force and pulls some of that water down. So then it causes a ripple effect that happens that slowly pulls itself towards it. That's why the ripple is bigger at the bottom as it slowly becomes smaller back towards the original source. Oh man, I hope that makes sense. Oh, how else can I explain it? Okay, here's another one. Uh this is a whoops. Hmm. This is Earth. I guess this is a and then you have okay, you have Earth. How does gravity on Earth work? All right. Oh man, this is okay. Let's just do an inner working inside of Earth. You have a spinning molten layer of lava rotating around the Earth. It's rotating around the Earth. So this line here is the gravity force. Oh, wait a minute. What does that mean? If the gravity is acting here, pulling us down, that doesn't make sense. Because that would mean there's gravity acting against the surface area there. And that would mean there's some area where the pull of this gravity is enough to empty out another part there. And then another one in there. Yeah, that's gonna definitely raise some questions. Huh. But yeah, figure it out for yourselves. But that is also how black holes work. It is acting on the surface area. Inside a black hole is hollow space. Basically, the amount of force acting on this black hole that you see is only at the surface. Is only at the surface. It is pulling light. It is pulling dark matter. It is a very, very strong force. It pulls in everything. Darkness is life. Darkness is everything. What is in that center? That I cannot say yet. I don't want to. But just know that there's a massive void. Same with the sun. Well, some things have middle cores and empty sides and things like that. It's how like the moon is empty on the inside. There's other planets. Anyways, that's how things on the insides are empty too. So once now you're putting it all together, gravity acts on the surface. That is the gravity force happening on the surface when a shit ton of matter, material, are kind of just positive and negative and positive, negative. If they're all just a whole bunch of them everywhere, just spinning and spinning and rotating, the Earth's gravity will not have an effect on it. So, with that, like if you designed a wing, for example, and then you electrically charge it, you know, negatively electrically charge the surface area of this wing, it'll repel the wind. I guess that would make it anti-gravity if you just do one side. Oh, how do you explain it? That's easy. You layer the positive and the negative. You layer it within the surface, and you just switch in between. Just keep switching it over and over, really really fast, and then it'll just push against gravity. Same with heat. It'll repel heat, cold. So if you have a rocket coming down, and there's a lot of hot air and stuff. Anyways, yeah, just you use electricity. That's how you create your own gravity force. Think electromagnetism, electrostatic, all that yada yada, all that stuff. Okay, let's move on to the next. There'll be other people talking about this. I'm just putting it all together in one video. All right. No. Okay. Okay. Next topic. Okay. Let's switch it up. Okay. Okay, this is for side notes. Something I need to mention. Don't give your opinions or advice unless asked. Don't burden anybody with your complaints unless they say it's okay, or you should let them know if you actually want your complaint to be fixed, or you just need someone to listen. Okay. Show respect in someone's home, or just don't go there. If someone annoys you in your own house, you can be mean to them. Don't complain about something you did yourself. Yeah, No killing or torturing animals. No killing animals unless you're attacked or for food. Just don't torture animals. I don't want. This is the other big subject. Oh shit! Where's my eye patch? The eye patch was just a symbol. Yeah, I can't take it off. It's just a symbol. Oh shit! All right. Quick lesson. This symbol is triangle. You probably see everywhere. Now, before Earth, this is what that meant. Mind, body, and the spirit all together make the soul. This is what you needed prior to coming into this life. This is absolute required knowledge. Absolute required knowledge. Anyways, the mind here, we're going to focus on the mind real quick. Obviously, that's what's going on in your head. And then we have the influences of the mind. These are the true demons of the human mind. Envy. Yeah, you can't read that. I'm just going to have you guys look at all this yourself. And then you have greed, you have lying, there's lust, wrath, there's sloth, gluttony, and pride. These are all pretty self-explanatory. Ignorance is of all this. Now, what I mean by all this is these are built into your soul, your head, they're in your mind. Everybody has these demons. Everyone. Your job is to fight off each and every one of them every day of your whole life. Now, the better you get at it, the less you see of them. But this is everybody's demons. Everybody. These are all your sins. Your job is to make sure you know all these and you fight against them. But, it's your choice. They do have an influence on you, but this is you. Whatever you do, if you commit any of these, that's all on you. That's all you. It is always going to be you. That is what you work on in your mind. Your mind is you and yours alone. What goes on in your head is yours. They all are in conjunction with one another. This is already self-explanatory in videos and things like that. The reason why I'm telling you this now is because there's actually a specific requirement that you need to meet if you wish to, I guess, reach enlightenment or awaken, yeah, whatever, or escape the matrix. But this is not the matrix, but the matrix is coming in the near future in a few decades. But we're working on that right now. Okay, the body is basically you just can't be relying on anybody. If you're on any medications or medicines or anything like that, you need to take care of yourself physically. And the more healthy the body is, the more clear the mind, and the better is the spirit. The spirit is everything. That's just how you connect with your relationships. It's the physical world around you. That's just all of it. Connecting your thoughts and your body, your entity to one. That makes your soul. But if you have strong, healthy relationships, just kind of find joy most days and you're content. If you work your way towards that, strong body, strong mind, you can upgrade your soul to elevate yourself. I'm not gonna get into detail with this yet, but basically religions have tried to explain it this whole time, but honestly, how do you translate quantum, the word itself, to a small child, for example? How do you translate that to a society that isn't really civilized enough to understand what quantum technology or multiple realities is? You have to get society and its culture to a certain point in order for at least a good portion of the populace to understand what quantum means or alternate realities and life itself. Basically, you do need a minimum requirement of basic understanding of how the universe works and a language in order to grasp words that could tie into things like multiple realities and quantum. There's no word for quantum in old texts and books. Basically, they'd have to say it as a metaphor. Like you would see deities with multiple arms, when really it means someone who grasps multiple realities, be able to have multiple reaches. Things like heaven and hell and multiple consciousness. There's no such thing as time. It's a matter of matter. Matter moves at a certain speed, and depending on that speed, you can visually see it or not, or the color. It's just a relativity. Like a small squirrel or an ant would look up at you and see you moving very slowly, but in its own world, it's moving in real time. Just as the way you see yourself moving in real time, there might be a giant the size of our solar system that doesn't even seem like it's moving. But to the giant, you're moving incredibly fast. It's just relative. That's what the distance and speed of light is. Anyways, where's it going with this? Oh, quantum. Yes. You have to get a society to a certain point for me to explain what it is so that I don't keep stopping every time. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Anyways, multiple realities. How do you access it? That is a big question. First, we have to get back to mind. You need to upgrade your mind. Point where you cannot distinguish real reality within your thoughts. As in, everything that you imagine in the real world, all your senses, your sight, your touch, your smell, your hearing, everything also has to be implied in your imagination, in your mind, whenever you have thoughts of anything. That's the first step. That means you're rewiring the neural connections in your head. And your brain is actually just a router, a receiver and sender of quantum data, as you say. Okay, how do you... Oops, excuse me. That inner voice you have, well, some of you don't have it, but when you build more neural connections, you'll start to have that gut feeling inside. That's your inner conscious, your subconscious. That is a higher you. That is a you that is the most of you. That is the part of you that your soul feels the most of.
Like whatever reality that soul is that is who you were destined to be. I mean, that could be in this reality. Don't know, but that's what we're here to talk about. Quantum is for you to shift between those people and them to shift between you, but you're all the same person. Because what I'm saying is time doesn't exist, so you don't have to shift in between parallels. How do I? I can't explain this yet. I will continue this later.